GLOBIS.
And thank you for coming to this panel talk. And yeah, it is through for me to be here to invite this fantastic lineup of the panelists from art industry and design and game industry too. Okay, and let us start with first of all, Shiho. Could you tell us about your change of your perception or a change of thinking within these 6 months, especially we suffered from the social distance and online based creation. Have you got any kind of change of thinking and insight? Please.
Hi, nice to meet you, everybody. It's such honor to join this panel. And actually, I'm right now in Okinawa, and I'm taking advantage of being online world. And usually, I'm based in Tokyo, but I'm taking a vacation. So this is one of the good impacts I'm having, because it doesn't matter that where I am. And unfortunately, I can't join you physically because it's quite far away where I am. So I have been joining one of the company that I try to name it. It starts from G. It's the search engine company. It's the place where most of the question has been asked so far, I believe. And yeah, and also I'm an artist. So that's my quick background. And I've been working through online from 2014, so it has been 6 months. So my team are based in Mountain View, Taiwan, and Paris. So everybody are remote. But the problem is always having time difference that we can't change. We can't change the concept of time yet. So I don't really have much impact so far, because it has been 6 years I have been remote working and doing some innovation work, creating wearable products, textile project, and the biotech art project. So it's the only issue I have is being always everybody were remote anyway, but they share same space because I'm only one remote. Everybody's talking on the, like a chat meeting at the corridors or coffee breaks, and I don't have those connections. So I was kind of isolated by myself. But here, everybody's now online. So that's what changed was became equal to somebody who works like me remotely. So that was another good advantage. The bad side was because I'm working a lot with physical objects. It's difficult to share touch and feels and looks of the material, then share that. That's kind of, then we have to use a lot of shippings or other way to do, like good photograph, good videos. That's the whatever the information I can send and share to people, that's what I do. So, but so far I don't feel like a kind of huge problem. I think it's only the problem it will be is just you get used to it and commitment to the project, and also keep remind yourself what was your mission, because that's what you can't chat on the corridor, that's something like you have to remind yourself. Yeah.
Thank you, Shiho. You're creating so many art pieces around combination of art and biotechnology and COVID-19, the bio phenomena. And do you have any insight about the interesting societal shift or mass perception change from your bio artist perspective?
So as a Japanese, I do this COVID situation remind us that we are all equal. So I mean, not equal. It means like we have all same issues. We share same problems worldwide. That's how I feel. when we had the issue with, the earthquake in North Japan, the Fukushima had the problems, and that was only the biggest problem for Japanese. Of course, it was shared with everybody, obviously, but that was the core space. Now there's no notion of the place and where you are, and we do kind of, through online, we see how people taking care of each other's, and also we also see sad news, and we feel the same. So that's what I feel that what changed in the perception. And also, as artists, we always struggling with the fears or hopes on something new for us, something new. And if it's untangible, it becomes very scary. So we don't know what's happening beyond and what's going on. What's the mutation might change. Fukushima also mutate our DNA. The COVID virus will mutate our DNA, and we don't know how long this goes. We don't know how physically and mentally challenging it's going to be for us, and how long it goes. That's what makes us fear. But in the same time, if we look from different light, we have also positive side as well. We do care of each other more. So that's, I see that's good side.
Thank you. Thank you for your sharing. Okay, hi, Tom. Thank you for joining here online from Silicon Valley. How are you?
Very good.
Tom is a partner of IDEO, as you know, the top, one of the top global design firm. And IDEO has international branches in the US, in the UK, and Japan, and Germany, and China. Tom, could you share the audience about the trends or change and shift in creative community or creative industry or creation itself from your perspective?
Sure. I mean, everything has changed, right? The good news is, as a creative firm or as a creative industry, we're relatively well positioned to deal with change like this because it's really what creativity is about, right? And so there've been, of course, many negative changes, and we can talk about that as much as you want. But I just want to point out that there, amidst all of the difficulties of COVID-19, there are opportunities, especially for creative organizations. So in addition to my work at IDEO as a partner, I'm chairman of our venture capital firm, D4V, Design for Ventures. And I think if you look around the room, you'll see a couple of Design for Ventures people there probably. And so in our venture work, some of our portfolio companies are actually seeing advantage in this current situation. One of our companies is called UBI. It uses artificial intelligence to help streamline the check-in to hospitals, and it gives advice to doctors about what this patient may be experiencing. And so guess what? Anything that adds to the productivity or the efficiency of a hospital operation in the middle of the biggest pandemic in recent history, it's to its advantage. And so a number of our portfolio companies are actually benefiting from this. And so with crises, there are also opportunities.
I think the design process and especially design thinking process is always human touch process, right? Starting out from the observation, empathy, and the prototyping and test. And I think I would think all the designer has been suffered from the social distance things. I really want to divide the breakdown the situation into an online culture and social distance situation. And what kind of conversation and discussion is going on in IDEO, how you overcome this social distance situation to enhance the creativity of designers?
Sure. I mean, this is a huge topic at IDEO because we are, around the world, we are working remotely. So although historically we've used these very high touch tools, and even, you know, I'm surrounded by many Post-its. You know, we like these analog tools and things like that, but in the last, you know, 7 months, we've gone basically 100% digital. And so that has meant many, many changes. You know, I mentioned Post-its, which is our kind of like one of the tools that we use to express ideas. We've gone to digital Post-its. We had a startup in residence called Mural that works with, you know, arranging digital Post-its on a wall. And so we use that for remote brainstorming instead of being in the room together. We have a technique called creative tensions, in which we, with client teams and sometimes very large groups, we ask a question and we have people physically move around the room to represent their answer to that question. And it always sparks an interesting conversation. Well, guess what? We can't be doing that, moving people around the room. And so we've made a digital version of the creative tensions tool. And it actually is in some ways better. And so at the beginning of most projects, we do some sort of assessment of the level of creativity of the client groups we're working with. Well, we have a digital tool now called Creative Difference that looks at 6 elements of creativity. And we actually have a metric now that you can compare one group in the company to another, or you can compare the same group over time. And so what we've done is digitized everything. You could say it's, you know, that word that gets passed around all the time, digital transformation. So it's digital transformation of the design process, right? And then an interesting thing happens is as soon as you've digitized everything, then that allows you to think about space in a fundamentally different way, right? In the analog way, or the high touch in-person way that we've done our work for the last 40 years, you need a space for every project team. You need, you know, you count the number of people you're going to have, and you need that many chairs and desks and things like that. But as soon as everything's digitized, then you can be kind of anywhere, right? And so it allows, here in the San Francisco area where I am, it allows our employees to start thinking about maybe living in a lower cost environment, right? In Tokyo, where I normally spend about 1/3 of my time, well, in Japan, it allows you to think about having your either creative teams or even just creative individuals in some remote area, right? Somewhere maybe far from Tokyo, but somewhere in Japan. There are places that are even trying to optimize you know, their location for such things. I ran across the place that's Kamiyamacho, that is setting itself up to be the desirable satellite space for people who are leaving Tokyo to do their creative work, right? And so, so we've digitized everything, and in the process, we think about geography and space quite differently.
Thank you, Tom. I'm coming back to you later. Hi, Taisei. And Taisei is the CEO of Geisha Tokyo, and is a hit maker in SNS game titles. Have you experienced about the such a radical changes in your business in these 6 months?
Before this session,
Mike?
Before this session, I'm thinking about how changed. But to be honest, as far as my business is concerned, nothing has been changed. Right. Because before the COVID-19, my business is developing game or smartphone, and also the publishing game to release all overseas market. So before the COVID-19, my business based on almost the internet world, not the real world. And also, my hobby is fishing, especially the fly fishing. And then 2 years ago, I started my fly fishing, and at that time, I'm thinking, I thought I want to more. I want to go more fishing. So and
More fishing. It's
so
good, thanks.
and my work, my game business work and fishing, I enjoy the two things, and I prepare to the remote work. Because, for example, sometimes as as I'm a game creator, I discuss with my teammate how to improve my game or how to make a good concept. And at that time, I sometimes in the river. That's why, because there is smartphone, and also these days the airport and some great utility tool is very good. So and whenever I'm in the even in the river, I can develop and I can discuss and also and I prepare for my project team and the rendering tool or the game developing machine, and which can be which can be moved very easily because sometimes the things are very complicated. When complicated timings come, I want to discuss face to face. So at that time, I ask them to come with me, and because I have to go fishing,
So go to the river.
So
Nice.
I want to take a whole project team to along the river.
Yeah, I really want to ask you about the how game creator can enhance the team creativity.
Yes.
In any way. It's to go to the river. That's nice.
So that's why after that the last March the COVID problem occurred. So and before then, and the very fortunately, I prepare as all for the whole situation which happened after the COVID-19.
So Geisha Tokyo is had been built online.
Yes.
Before COVID-19.
So and before COVID-19, we moved from the real world to the online space. So and also these days, and I think it's unfortunate or unfortunate, and people stay home. So they use more internet, like the shopping or watching a video, and also they play games more than before. So and because of the COVID-19, our business its condition is better than before because the user play time is more and more than before. So I think for our business, the COVID-19 and nothing changed, but the COVID-19 accelerated the situation which occurs before.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. We have three perspectives from the panelists, and Shiho. Through the I joined the several panels here in G1 Global this year, and then business professionals, everybody talk about how difficult to maintain the culture or core value in the office, and then they trying to transform the value and then the usage of the office somehow. And I think these three panelists have a certain amount of knowledge or hints for the people, because you guys are very good at to handle this situation. Shiho, I'm asking you about how you maintain your team creativity or team value fully online.
So the most important is we keep our like how to communicate always like together. So we do have, we call it stand up. So 10 minutes chat instead of coffee break. We have our own coffee, and also we talk about our new like how this, how I bought a new sofa, I bought the new coffee mugs, and we spend actually first 5 or 10 minutes to talk something like that. So that kind of, relaxing each other, and like, oh, you change your hair colors and something like totally not related to your work. But I do think that makes us like feel more closer, even with the, we have a distance each other. So that's one of the important things, because we have to keep our own culture. Our own culture is, if you work at the company will support you to, like feel like there's a culture at the company. But if you work remotely, you have to have your own culture that's like related, linked with other rest of the team. So that's the how to keep like knowing each other. That's most important for creative work to do. So that's not that difficult, even it's online. Actually, we like Kelly said, that we have more tools to do. And I do think I actually, after I think 3rd year of my online work, I changed my idea that actual workspace, actual office is my offsite space. So I go there to, meet with people and have fun with them. And the rest of the most kind of important work has been online. So that's how I see that. Yeah.
Thank you. Tom, I'm going to asking same questions. The IDEO, is well known about the very rich, design community culture, right? And I have been visiting the IDEO San Francisco office and the Silicon Valley office. It's a fantastic situation for all the designers. But you said the now IDEO designers are, away from the office, and then you experience 100% of online work. So could you tell us about how IDEO as a design organization trying to be try to unite the internal designers and communicate enhance the creative communication internally? Tom.
Yes, I'm muted. I figured that out. So my answer is, we're doing tons of things that what you have to do in this environment is take the stuff that happened casually and make sure it happens. You have to kind of plan for it a bit more. And so we've got, and it's all, everything's an experiment, but we've got 20 different experiments running on this. So just to pick a few, we did something called May Frenzy that ran, well, here in the US, it ran from 6 a.m. on Monday morning until 10 o'clock on Friday night. And it ran continuously. It was Zoom, but continuously for all those hours. And so people would join from Germany, and then they'd come in from Shanghai and Tokyo. And there were definitely some quieter hours, and there were some busier hours. But it was this giant share of ideas and thoughts and things like that. And so that, on the kind of massive scale, that's a big one.
How many people are joining in the
group? 750.
All right.
Never all at once. Actually, there were a few sessions, and I'm sure Shiho has the same problem. If you really want to get people together in Germany and Shanghai and Tokyo and San Francisco, there's a pretty narrow window. Some people have to be up late and some people have to be up early. And so for me in San Francisco, those plenary sessions, the big group sessions, were always at 6 a.m., right? So it's, it's the late in the evening in Tokyo and things. But anyhow, so that's like a mega solution, right? That's a big investment of time. But at the other end is, the random casual meetings. The CEO of Indeed at the earlier session, if you saw that one, said he's meeting once a week for an hour with an employee. And later he mentioned he has 10,000 employees. So that's gonna take him a while if you do the math on those weeks. But anyhow, in IDEO Tokyo, we use this app or bot, I'm not sure what you call it, called Donut. And so we have Donut Buddies. And so every week I'm randomly paired up with some member of IDEO Tokyo. And so we talk for, 30 to 60 minutes. And, there's only about, including the D4V team, there's about 50 people. And so, in the course of the year, I'm going to talk to all of them. And it's really fun. We don't talk about work at all. I found out one of them is expecting a baby and hasn't told anyone else at IDEO Tokyo. I found out that one of them has an intense dislike for a famous politician in Japan, who I shall not name. It's really fun, and it's exactly the kind of thing you need, which is the casual meeting, or like, oh, hey, let's go to lunch, right? So this is, oh, hey, let's go to lunch, but not, not in person. And so in between the 30 to 60 minutes of Donut Buddies and the 120 hours or whatever it was of the May Frenzy, there's many, many other things. We have something called Homemade, in which people systematically share things about home projects they are doing that have not too much to do with work, but they are designing things for the most part. And so
Tom, you should write 20 challenges and secrets from IDEO, to the global
I'm
audience.
sure that my colleagues are writing such things.
All right. And another question for Tom. So many people is now wondering the creativity and the serendipity could be, reproduced online. And you said you use the plenty of time to get people meet each other online. And do you, if COVID-19 situation is relieved, and when we I don't know, that is coming to us in 2012, I don't know, within 2 years or 3 years future, maybe the society can overcome this social distance situation. If you have this social distance situation, are you going to rewind the community culture building methods to offline, or are you going to maintain online?
Well, this is like a huge question. If you step back from the situation, the two things are happening to all of us during COVID-19, and you have to keep in mind our experience of it in the US is a little different than you're having in Japan, partly because we lack any kind of national program, right? But so we, especially in the US, but around the world, we are doing two things. We are forming new habits, right? And so there's the habit of Zoom, there's the habit of ordering my groceries online. By the way, think of companies who have benefited from COVID-19. I had lunch today, because it's late evening here. I had lunch today with a friend who works at Instacart. They just had a $17 billion valuation because they're now the leading delivery of groceries in the US. So we in the Kelly household and in households all over America, we've developed the habit of ordering groceries online. And some of that may fade away, but besides habits, we're also all developing skills. And the skills are not going to go away. So for example, we're all pretty skilled by, we're forced to learn Zoom, right? I currently have a virtual background on Zoom. I have a filter. I have a thing that makes my face look better. I have, so we've kind of all learned that. When I signed up for this event, there was an instruction that says, for those of you not familiar with Zoom, and I'm thinking, who is that? Who's not familiar with Zoom, right? We've been forced to learn that skill. Right? And so when you learn the skill called Zoom or the skill called Mural, in which you can do your post-its digitally and stuff like that, people are gonna wanna use that skill. And so one thing that is not gonna go away is we are all in the process of rethinking what must be an in-person meeting and what can be done remotely, right? And I mean, the things that must be in person is getting pretty small. I mean, I have in COVID-19, I've gone to like about 100 Zoom happy hours. I've sadly gone to 2 Zoom funerals. I've done Zoom wine tasting, which I highly recommend. You know, you just send everybody a bottle or 2 or 3, and then now we're on Zoom, but we all have the same wine, right? I just did a sake tasting. I like there's a sake from Niigata called Hakai-san, and so we all had 3 bottles of Hakai-san sakes, and we're tasting them, and it's really fun. And you don't actually have to be in person. There's these murder mystery parties that people dress up and do. Oh, you can do those over Zoom too, it turns out, right? And so, so I think that many of these things we are not gonna let go of. I'm still gonna come to Japan, I am. But I once, you know, I was a management consultant, so working for Singapore Airlines right before I joined IDEO. And I flew to San Francisco for a 2-hour meeting and then flew back to Singapore. At that time, it was 24 hours transit time, right? I am never doing that again in the rest of my life. And no one would want me to. I mean, among other like parties, the earth wouldn't want me to make that trip, right? Yeah. And so think about all the skills that you were learning, many of them digital skills, we're not going back, right?
Thank you.
So yes, the digital transformation happens now will not be reversed.
Cool, thank you. Taisei, I am really want to hear about your foresight for the era of post-COVID-19. Do you have any kind of radical scenarios about society or game industry or your business?
It's a very good question. And these days, I learned a lot of things from the young people because they grow up with digital tool like a smartphone, and even the 10 years or 12 years old children make a great video for TikTok or Instagram together, and even they never share the real world through the online. For example, it's very interesting. These days, the primary school children connect with the line as a communication tool, and all time because I ask them because it's free, and also they communicate all time and less of sleeping all time, and someone hit upon a good idea, and they speak. So all the children who link to through the line, they can hear what she or he says.
Online native generation.
Online native, and so that's and also these days I think it's a very interesting the Fortnite. Do you know the Fortnite, the big hit game? Yes, and the Fortnite these days, the Fortnite is something kind of the battle royale game, the action shooting game. But these days, on the Fortnite world, the famous artist or musician held their live on the Fortnite. I think it's the future. So I think the after COVID-19, so people life will be changed. And the model case of there are a lot of model cases in the online games, Fortnite or the Minecraft, because the Minecraft is like a digital Lego. Even the 3 or 4 years old children, and I have no idea they can see the English character on the keyboard, but they can create for example the digital castle with the people who have never met in the real world. So I think it's surprising. I'm so surprised. So and these days the so that's why it's a very good case. So and when I asked and some of the old industry people, I often recommend you should play online game with your children, Fortnite or 動物の森 as Animal Crossing. So everything is okay. Even my game is okay because my game is free to play. So and I think the old the industry people and the grown people should play game if they seldom play game before.
Yeah. I had a very similar story from my colleague in Taklam, and then he's a father of a 10 years old kid, and this kid always use Fortnite to play with his friends, and it is very similar. When we look back our childhood, we go to the park to play with our children, but the Fortnite is a playground. Literally for them. And interestingly, he pointed out the facial expression of his kid. It actually changes radically in the same room. So that is a completely different facial expression to parents and to friends. And he got surprised at how the confusion in between the context and the space. And now the context and the space is detached to each other, but it's interestingly merged into the one space. So it's a new era and new things. That's online native context. Yeah, it's Shiho. The same question to you. Do you have any kind of radical scenario for post COVID-19 society from creative community perspective?
So my radical, I'm unmuted. So my radical scenario will be the question that can we are animal, very visual animal, since we became like using the tools, we walking with 2 foot, and evolution made us to be visual animal. And my question is that we are so dependent on the screen-based communication these days. So I'm wondering, what if we go away from the screen, but still communicating through online? What kind of new creativities, new communications, new things might gonna happen? That's my new interest these days. So that's actually why I want to create a device that have no screen, and I want to get out from the mobile phone. Sometime, actually, tomorrow I'm gonna go to camping, and there would be no internet. That's the only time that I can really relieve myself and do some kind of relaxation. So. I want to hear what others think about the screen-based life.
Tom, do you have a radical scenario for post-COVID?
Okay, unmute. There you go. Yeah, so I used to spend a lot of time with the folks down the street from us in Palo Alto at what they called the Institute of the Future. And what they said is, predictions are really hard, but if you want to talk about scenarios of the future, if you want to look 10 years into the future, it really helps to look 20 years into the past, right? And so, it's hard, especially hard at a transitional moment like this to predict the future. But if I think about from the standpoint of the design industry, if you look into the pretty distant past, back in 1991, the year that IDEO became IDEO, was also the year that the very first web page was ever launched, right? It was at CERN, as you may know. It was actually on a computer that we helped design. It was on Steve Jobs' next computer. But just think about that. No person, no company, no government body on earth had a web page, right? Had a site, right? And then we in the design community got to design a few billion websites, right? Like that was many millions, perhaps billions of person hours that went into that unbelievable creative task, right? And so now it's, you know, kind of what Taisei and you were talking about, you know, about Fortnite and Minecraft and things like that. We are definitely, and COVID-19 is going to accelerate it because we're now all so used to like looking into a world, you know, through our screen. We're going to have virtual worlds. And yes, Fortnite does work. You know, Taisei was talking about that, the musician, I think he's probably talking about Travis Scott, who's a hip hop musician in America. So think about musician, you get money from selling your songs, but you really like to do concerts. They make a ton of money on concerts. They're creative people and that's their revenue model. And then concerts go away. Well, how's a concert work? You have maybe 1,000 people and you charge them $100 each. That pays for the concert. Well, he got 12 million people to go to his concert that he did within Fortnite. I don't know if he charged anyone, but if you charged them $1, that's the most profitable concert in the history of the concert world, right? And so now almost no company other than gaming companies have a virtual world, and everyone's going to want a virtual world, right? Which means we all, you know, we all get to have avatars in that virtual world. Like somebody's got to design the world, design the avatar, design the experience, design the interaction in that world. And this is going to be the biggest design project of the 21st century. And it's, you know, it has started already, but we're still in early days. And so if you want to like get ready for a creative project, that's a really big one.
Mm. Thanks, Tom. We run up the time and we have another 17 minutes here. So, okay, let me open the floor and okay, please, audience, please share your comments and thoughts and questions with others. And you've got online questions. And if you have, please raise your hands, identify yourself, and please make your question concise. Yep.
Hi, thank you so much for your insightful session. And I'm Kotaro from Dentsu Ventures. And my question probably goes to Tom. So there are like a lot of tools, like creative design tool, including like Figma or, you know, Miro or something. And one of the byproduct of like digitization, like digital transformation is the data, like getting data. So how do you see like, you know, this COVID could be the catalyst to accelerate like data-driven, like creative process or data-driven creative workshop or not?
Thank
yes,
you.
absolutely. We, for the last few years, have been blending data science and design. In fact, we ended up buying a data science company called Datascope because we were so interested in the interaction, the overlap between design and data science. And what we're finding is they are amazing partners. They help us at the front end. You know, now when we can't do the typical observation we're doing, they will scrape the internet looking for inspiration or insight into things that are happening. And they're really great at data visualization. You know, when we found something, they make it come to life. And so we found is they've been really great partners. And so we absolutely believe in what you're describing, which is
Tom, I remember that we shared the conversation around data plus design last year, G1 Global, and yes. We conclude that the combination of, you know, design thinking and the data-driven, you know, insight is going to be the ultimate combination to be creative. Yeah.
Yes, and I think it has been accelerated by COVID-19.
Thank you.
Okay, we have an online question from Kaori Kodama and asks, I think that almost all creative companies are familiar with the online world, but some people in other worlds are not so familiar, for example, governments. How do we communicate them? If you have any ideas, please tell us what's the issue to collaborate with people from different situations and what you have in mind.
All right. Any thoughts? Shiho, do you have any comments on that?
I have a short comment. So basically, I think the reason why the government, I wouldn't say everybody in the government has an issue, but some probably, or doesn't necessarily has to be a government, but what can you really trust is the key problem, I think. Because we have now a stamp issue like Hanko, and we try to eliminate those Hanko and try to shift to digital signature. Can government trust? Well, that's what system they have to create their own. They only can trust with the system that they created by themselves. That is the problem, I think. So, and also like, you know, not necessarily between the government and us, but like some people who's not familiar with digital tools, they are afraid, as Kelly said, we have to learn that. Once we learn, we don't go back, and I totally agree. But if you don't have that skill, you feel yourself like you are not so productive, or you have some issues in the work because you can use the digital tools. Can we create another tools that makes people to be more familiar? So that's another challenge. Yeah, that's my short comment.
Thank you. Right. Any other questions? Right.
But can I add to that answer?
Yep, please.
Sure, big design opportunity with governments. I mean, we're doing a lot of work with governments. We have a huge project with the government of Dubai, the United Arab Emirates. It's called Palmwood. It's the best of the, you know, the desert palms with the California redwoods. Looking at how the government relates to the population, right? We work with the government of Singapore, which is a kind of a model for governments around the world. We didn't do this work, but the government of Estonia has this remarkable thing where all of your data is in exactly one place. So like when you change your address, you only have to change it one place, and then everyone else knows that you've changed your address and things like that. And everybody who's in the opening session, you know, Kono-san talked about all the things he wants to do with the Japanese government. We'd love to help on that, by the way. But he talked about being kind to people, kind to nature, just unkind to injustice. But he also, if you were listening closely, he said, what we want the government to be is one stop and tailor-made, right? And that's the opposite of most interactions with government today. Like, because you have to go to many places and there's like 27 steps and, you know, like difficult instructions. And then tailor-made, it's the opposite. It's this generic, like, you know, made for people that aren't like me, right? And so, well, he hasn't delivered on it yet, but I'm excited at that idea, that concept for the government of Japan.
Yeah, Tom, this maybe 2020 and 2021 is maybe tipping point for the Japanese government and Japanese society, because this is the timing to build the first digital, you know, government, and maybe UX, value should be built inside the, you know, the core pillar. And without that, it is super hard to connect the governmental service to the citizens. So maybe creative communities and design communities should contribute to that you know, shift.
I agree.
Thanks. Okay,
thank you. My name is Yuko Kubo. I'm a student in GLOBIS. I believe in the future of the digital, but sometimes it's still not treated properly, or there's a confusion in how to use it from the user perspective. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we are kind of attacked at how it's used. So what kind of regulations or rules do you think should be implemented for it to be used properly and also benefit the creative industry?
Okay, thank you. I'm going to collect the Sekiguchi-san's question first.
My name is Waichi Sekiguchi, president of MM Research Institute and former Nikkei editorial writer. My question is rather simple and probably for Tanaka-san. So I think the gaming industry is enjoying great success under this COVID-19. And then particularly hyper casual gaming category is also accelerated by this issue. So do you think you will continue to be successful even after this COVID-19 issue is over?
Okay, we've got two questions. The first one is what kind of rule and regulation things, and the second question is for Taisei. So can you start with response to if you can include the first.
No matter how the COVID-19 is over or not, for example, you see a lot of children. And I'm very, very worried, even I'm in the game industry person, but I'm very worried. They are addicted to video game. So
how do you think you trying to push that things forward?
But for example, Steve Jobs, the inventor of the iPhone. But I heard from the news, and he prohibited his children from the only one hour a day on smartphone. So I think the digital is very, very powerful and very, very useful. But I think at that moment, there are a lot of lack because the physical experience was, even 5 years ago, the Spielberg movie, the Ready Player One, if such kind of future will be coming, the digital tool is, I think, perfect. They love each other, and they play soccer physically each other. So I think at that time, and I may ask my children and do play more in the digital world. But at this moment, I think the digital tool is not perfect. So there are a lot of the physical contact or something. So that's why, and even last year, some primary students come to my office as a one-day intern, and they ask me how to become a game creator. And I at that time I said, you play more and more outside, and you have to experience a lot of things, fishing and basketball or go abroad, because I think at that time only the 5% of the all over the world there's on the internet, only the 5% of all over the information. So the rest of the 50% occur in the real world. So and I ask you, I reply your question. I'm not worried because the people are too addicted. So I think my business future will be happy.
Right. Yeah. It could be the recognition as a CEO of game creation company, and I think that this is one aspect of the side effects of this digitalized society. Okay, we have another 5 minutes. So to wrap up this panel session, can you give us the comments and thoughts, through this conversation, or maybe some tips or advice to the business professionals? Shiho, please, this is the final message to the audience.
Answer a question that has been posed to the chat, Joshua. So because that was posed to me, and I try to wrap up. So my answer is, actually, I created a smallest computer without a screen, which is this. I'm trying to, actually, I do have it here. It's a backpack, and oh, we can't really see it if it's not on the back. Yeah, okay, you can see this. It's a backpack, and it has a sensor on the sleeve, and this is the smallest computer we created. and that has the gyroscope and the accelerometer sensors and also LEDs. So we don't have to have a screen to know what you are doing actually during the day, and you can still be connected without the screen. So that's one of my examples. That's just quick answer to you. I think the new future is, we call it ambient computing. So our world is going to be connected. So it doesn't have to be through only from mobile phone or online devices like we have. It's going to be like all the materials around you, like bed and sofas, like clothes that you touch and use. You actually use mobile phone and laptop very little time, except the game consumer, I guess. And that are going to be smarter. So that's the new world, I think. And also to answering another question, what's the rules and what's the things? I do hope that we do have literacy, digital literacy altogether. Since I do biotech, I want all the artists and makers have literacy. And addiction is somehow created by, like rules and billing system that creates problems for gamers, for example. So if we really looking at as creators or players or users, we have to know what is right and what is wrong and keep changing those rules by ourselves. So that's my wrap up.
Thank you, Shiho. Tom, can you share your thoughts, comments, and message to the audience? You muted again.
Mute again, aren't I? Okay. So, sure. So in my D4B life, I meet these CEOs, these founders of companies, and if you're starting a company of your own, you feel like you have to be great at everything, like you have to hold the whole thing up, and so. Both for those entrepreneurial founders and for the leaders in the business community in general, I would say be open to the idea of creative pairs or creative teams. That like, look, I don't have to be good at that because I know somebody else who is really good at that, and we can just work together, right? And during this COVID-19 moment, which looks like it's going to go on for at least a while longer, there is a tool for that. We had one at IDEO we did it in a brute force way, which was called a wormhole, which was for 3 years. My brother David, founder of IDEO, and one of our favorite clients and people, Jim Hackett, who was CEO of Steelcase at the time, became CEO of Ford Motor Company. They had a 24/7, 365 audio video link between their offices. And let me just say, it worked. There was no phone call, there was no anything. You were in touch with them every minute, right? And you could just say, hey, Jim, what do you think about this, right? And he's there, right? And so you have to pick your creative pairs carefully, right? This has to be somebody that you really like working with. But if you can keep a line of communication with them open, like more or less all the time, of course you want to get away from it occasionally. Wow, all I can say is try it once. It is quite powerful as a communication as a tool for working remotely. You are literally in constant communication.
Thank you, Tom. All right, Taisei, please.
So this is the creativity. So my message is very simple. And if you can see the future of the collaboration work with creativity, you should play online game as soon as possible. There are a lot of hints. There are a lot of hints. People collaborate, and even the young people can collaborate each other on the online community. So if such kind of talented grown people utilize the online community, and our future of creativity will be very, very, very happy. Thank you very much.
Play online. Okay, it's time's up. Right, thank you very much for coming this panel talk, and appreciate the fantastic the panels, and then please give them the big applause. Thank you.
GLOBIS